Thank you. Well, joining me now is Republican Senator Mike Braun of Indiana. Senator, great to see you. Americans are obviously feeling the pump. They're feeling the pain at the pump. They're seeing the road ahead. It doesn't look good. Are these sanctions, the banning of Russian oil by the U.S., going to have any discernible effect, do you think, on Putin and what he's doing in Ukraine?
So mostly it's too little, too late. Oil is fungible like any commodity. So what we don't get from them, they'll sell elsewhere. The places that we're buying from someplace else, it'll all be a circle that sooner or later that'll have less impact. Brian, what really is the factor behind this is when the Biden administration took over and they said we're going to put the fossil fuel industry out of business. That started changing probably the mid and long-term plans of the folks in the business. They weren't going to push ahead on leases that they've already got. Of course, they pulled the plug on the Keystone XL pipeline, and they also quit the permits on federal land. So it was two or three things that sent the signal to the marketplace that he's not the friend of oil and gas. The cleanest, least expensive fuel will win in the long run. But it was idiotic when you had China, India, places building coal plants weekly. We do this self-inflicted wound to our energy independence. Gas prices alone in the high to mid $3 range is enough to lose an election. Right. Where this is going, sadly, has really little to do with, I think, what Russia is doing. That's a short-term spike. What the signal was sent, because remember, demand is about the same, production is about the same across the country. The market is putting a panic premium in there because of disruption. They're the third largest oil producer behind Saudi Arabia. Ironically, we're the largest, and we could have been even larger had Biden not made the just calculated move to depress the industry when he got in office. That's why we're paying the price.
And the president's out there saying, hey, we haven't reduced production. Don't look at us. But it was him with great fanfare on day one who said, my goal actually is to reduce production. What scares me, Senator, is this president and his staff don't understand things like investment cycles and the planning that goes into things like our natural resources. We should be starting right now, saying right now, let's get back to drilling, let's get back to production. But the president instead, Senator, is looking to Iran and looking to Venezuela. We are trading one dictator for another at this point. That does not end well, sir.
No, one dirty oil supplier for another. And even the Keystone XL pipeline, let's look at that. We would have no issues if that thing was flowing. But the pipeline builders, they can't put that into play. They need an 8 to 10 year commitment probably for the very reason you just stated. So that's a variable, an option lost. Yeah, we'll get through it. But the Biden administration, when they declared war on fossil fuels, that's short-term thinking. In the long run, it's a different question. But this all was set up by some bad decisions out of the gate, along with many others. And I think it offers a whole menu of things for us to work with in the midterm elections.
The president is leaning heavily now on where gas prices are going and saying, this is Putin. This is the war in Ukraine. That's what you're seeing in gas prices. And of course, the prices have bumped up in recent days because of that. But the underlying baseline of those prices was already well in place. What can be done at the congressional level? Because you're not going to get anything done at the executive level. At the congressional level, what can be done to try to get regulators, to try to get this president off the dime and focused on what can be produced in America?
It's not like flipping a switch on and off. Biden is giving that impression. But when you've been so hostile to the productive side of the economy, not just in fuels and oil and gas, people make decisions based on the mid and long term. You can't have the ebb and flow of a federal government or a guy like Biden that has no understanding of the productive side of the economy. And sadly, you're tied into this for a while.
Right.
We had the healthiest economy that I was a part of, and ran my own business for 37 years pre-COVID. A lot has happened from bureaucrats. A lot has happened from folks on the other side of the aisle that want to grow the federal government as their growth business. It will take a while to get through all of that. Sadly, it won't be in time for them to be able to tout it in the midterms, and I hope the American public makes the right decision on how to get us back on the right track.
And of course, this is not about the midterms. Of course, the midterms are going to happen. There's going to be a decision made by voters, but this is actually about the fundamental prosperity of our country and the fact that we are squandering it by looking overseas to dictators instead of looking to our own people who can produce exactly what we need and the world needs. Senator, we got to leave it there. Always good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.